Welcome to the channel, everyone. Today is the 5th of January, and as always, here we are, watching from the other side, in opposition, where we like to see things from a different perspective. A warm welcome to all of you following the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do so to not miss any analysis of what's happening in British politics. And, as usual, get ready for the unexpected. The political storm was unlike anything Britain had seen in years, a true spectacle. It all began with an unexpected move by Elon Musk, a man known for his ambitious ventures and social media antics. In the midst of an already controversial week, Musk made a public statement that rattled the corridors of British politics. He threw his support behind Tommy Robinson, the far-right activist who had been in solitary confinement for his inflammatory views and past convictions. Musk's endorsement was swift, bold, and shocking, calling for Robinson's release. To many, it was an astonishing twist in a narrative that already had plenty of contention. "Blimey, this is a right pickle," muttered a seasoned political journalist, Paul Sinclair, as he scrolled through his phone in the back of a stuffy newsroom. His fingers paused over the screen, reading the headlines that seemed to get more absurd by the minute. Musk, of all people, stepping into this madness. What does he even know about British politics? Sinclair's colleague, Lisa Hollingsworth, a reporter with a nose for the undercurrents of political drama, leaned over his shoulder, a grimace on her face. "You can bet this won't blow over anytime soon." "You reckon Farage will make a statement?" she asked, her voice tinged with a mix of disbelief and curiosity. "Well, if the bloke's any bit as savvy as he likes to think, he'll probably have to say something, if only to keep the Reform Party's ship steady. I can hear him now, bleating on about free speech, probably. It's his go-to," Sinclair replied, voice laced with his usual dry sarcasm. And sure enough, within hours, Nigel Farage, the charismatic yet polarizing leader of the Reform Party, was all over the media. Farage had always thrived in moments of political upheaval. He was known for his keen ability to sense where the winds of public opinion were blowing, and this moment was no different. At a rally in the heart of London, Farage stood at the podium, his arms raised in defiance, a gleam in his eye that spoke of a man prepared to stir the pot. He wasn't one to shy away from controversy, rather, he embraced it. "We stand for freedom," Farage boomed, his words carrying across the crowd. Freedom of expression, freedom of belief, and most importantly, the freedom to stand up for what's right. "And yes, I support Tommy Robinson's right to be heard." The audience cheered, some vehemently, others in a show of unity with Farage's words. But the reaction wasn't universally positive. There were plenty of critics, both inside and outside of the Reform Party, who felt Farage had gone too far. Yet, as expected, the controversial figure played the political game with ease, framing his support for Robinson as a defense of the fundamental freedoms British citizens held dear. But not everyone in the political sphere was enamored with this new alliance. Farage's statement sent ripples through the Conservative Party, where the divisions between the moderates and the far-right were becoming ever more apparent. In particular, William Simmons, a senior Conservative MP with a reputation for sticking to the party line, wasn't pleased. "I've got to say, Farage's outburst has thrown me a bit," Simmons admitted, a rare hint of vulnerability in his voice. "I mean, I get that the man's always pushing boundaries, but this? Supporting Robinson? It's one thing to play to your base, but this could cost him dearly." Simmons, a man known for his careful words and measured approach, was visibly disturbed by Farage's comments. "The way things are going, we're all going to look like we're either complicit or clueless," he muttered to his colleague, Caroline Beckett, who shared his concerns. "Farage doesn't know when to quit, does he?" Caroline replied, shaking her head. "If he thinks his base will back him on this one, he's in for a surprise. There's a line, William. And he just crossed it." Meanwhile, Farage was getting an earful from within his own party. While many of his followers were quick to voice their approval, others were less than enthusiastic. There were whispers of unease, particularly among those who had supported the party in the past for its anti-establishment rhetoric but who now feared that Farage's alliances were becoming too extreme. "You've gone too far this time, Nigel," said one senior party member, privately to Farage, during a tense meeting later that week. "Supporting Robinson, it's a step too far. It's one thing to rally the troops with the usual rhetoric, but this?" Farage cut him off, his usual confidence unfaltering. "I'm not going to apologize for standing up for freedom of speech. I've been in this game long enough to know when the establishment's afraid of something, and they're scared of Tommy Robinson. They're scared of what he represents. But this? You can't just keep going on about freedom of speech when it's someone like Robinson. People won't stand for it," his colleague insisted, his voice tight with concern. Farage, unfazed, leaned back in his chair. "You've got to understand, mate. The people are sick of being told what to think. Robinson's been wronged. The system's stacked against him. And I'm going to keep saying it until people realize that we've all got a responsibility to stand up for those who are silenced." The conversation only seemed to strengthen Farage's resolve, and it wasn't long before he took to social media again, this time in a video message directed to the British public. "The powers that be don't want you to hear this, but I'm telling you now," Farage said, his voice filled with conviction. "Tommy Robinson deserves to be free. And I won't stop fighting for that." His words were met with a wave of reactions. On one side, the far-right celebrated, hailing Farage as their hero, their champion in the fight against what they perceived as the establishment's tyrannical control over public discourse. On the other, the backlash was swift and fierce. Public figures across the political spectrum condemned Farage for what they saw as an endorsement of extremism. The debate raged on, the nation divided. For Farage, this was just another battle in the ongoing war for political dominance, but for the rest of the country, it was a stark reminder of how fragile the lines between support and condemnation could be. The events had set the stage for what was to come next in this ever-unfolding political drama. Back in the newsroom, Sinclair leaned back in his chair, watching the latest headlines flash across the screen. "Well, this is going to get worse before it gets better," he muttered, his fingers itching to begin writing the next piece. "Farage's taking a gamble, and I reckon it's going to be one for the history books." The clash between Nigel Farage and Elon Musk had been building for weeks. At first, it seemed that both men would stay neutral, each carefully avoiding any direct confrontation. But as the days went by, the tension between them became palpable, and eventually, it all came to a head. It all started when Farage was asked in an interview about Musk's influence on the Reform Party, the political vehicle that Farage had helped to shape. Farage, ever the seasoned politician, had been supportive of Musk's ventures into British politics. However, as the days wore on, his patience began to wear thin with Musk's increasingly vocal criticisms of the current state of the party and his calls for change. It was during a televised debate on a cold autumn evening that the sparks truly flew. The studio, located in the heart of London, buzzed with anticipation as Farage took the stage. His expression was steely, betraying little emotion. Musk, however, was different. Standing at the back of the room, hands in his pockets, his trademark confident grin in place, he looked as though he was ready to make a statement that would shake the very foundation of the party. As the debate began, it was clear that both men had come to the table with opposing viewpoints. Farage, steadfast in his belief that the Reform Party had a distinct role to play in British politics, argued that the party needed to maintain its focus and keep its leadership firmly in place. "We've been through the trenches," Farage said, his voice steady, yet tinged with a hint of irritation. "We've fought the battles, and we've won the trust of millions of people across the country. I won't be lectured by someone who thinks they can waltz in and dictate how things should be run." Musk, who had been sitting quietly in the background, didn't take long to fire back. His sharp, almost robotic tone echoed through the studio, cutting through the air like a knife. "With all due respect, Nigel, the world is changing. You may have been a voice for the discontented for many years, but that doesn't mean you're the right person to lead the Reform Party into the future. The party needs someone who can truly stand up to the establishment and push for the change that this country so desperately needs." Farage's eyes narrowed, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face. "And just who do you think that person is, Elon? Do you think you can just waltz in and lead a political movement like it's one of your tech ventures? This isn't a Silicon Valley startup, mate. This is politics, and it's a hell of a lot more complicated than designing a new electric car." Musk didn't flinch. "I didn't come here to play politics as usual, Nigel. I came here to shake things up. The Reform Party has great potential, but it's not going to go anywhere with the same tired leadership. It needs someone with vision. It needs someone who isn't afraid to take on the elites, someone with more backbone than a career politician who spent his life riding the wave of public discontent. The room fell silent, the weight of Musk's words hanging heavy in the air. Farage, however, wasn't about to back down. He stood taller, his voice cutting through the tension like a sharpened blade. You want someone with backbone, Musk? You think you're the one to give it to the Reform Party? Farage's voice had risen now, a sharp edge to it. Let's not forget who was here first, who helped build the movement. I've been in the trenches. I've fought for this country, and I'll be damned if I let some billionaire who thinks he can just stroll in and take over everything tell me what to do. Musk, ever unruffled, responded with an air of indifference. You're right, Nigel. You've been in the trenches. But the question is, what have you achieved in the last few years? The party is stuck in the past, mired in the same old tactics, with no real direction. We need fresh blood, fresh ideas. If the Reform Party is going to succeed, it needs a leader who is willing to take risks, not just sit back and wait for things to happen. Farage's face reddened with fury. You don't get it, do you, Musk? This isn't about fresh blood or new ideas. This is about staying true to the values that got us here in the first place. If you want to run a party, get your hands dirty. Don't sit there in your ivory tower thinking you can come in and save the day. But Musk was having none of it. The world has changed, Nigel. The old ways don't work anymore. The British people are fed up with the same tired faces, the same tired arguments. The Reform Party needs a new direction, and I'm the one who can take it there. The debate raged on for what felt like hours, both men refusing to back down. The studio audience was on the edge of their seats, captivated by the fierce exchange of words between two political heavyweights. It was a battle of egos, a battle of ideals, and a battle that was only just beginning. As the debate came to a close, Farage and Musk stood facing each other, both men resolute in their convictions. Musk, ever the pragmatist, was confident in his vision for the future of the Reform Party. Farage, on the other hand, stood firm in his belief that the party needed to stick to its roots and continue its mission as it had been before. In the end, there was no clear winner. But one thing was certain, the clash of these two titans had only just begun. As the crowd filed out of the studio, the tension in the air was palpable, and the political landscape in Britain had been irrevocably changed. Would the Reform Party embrace Musk's call for a new direction, or would Farage's unwavering commitment to tradition prevail? Only time would tell. As we look back at the series of events surrounding Nigel Farage and his controversial decision to bring Tommy Robinson into the fold of the Reform Party, it's evident that the story is far from over. The weight of these actions has sparked an ongoing debate that has divided public opinion. Farage's handling, or rather mishandling, of this situation has been the subject of intense scrutiny, and many are wondering whether he can still reclaim the trust of the British public. But is this simply a blip in his political journey, or could it be the beginning of the end for his leadership of the party? The decision to even consider Tommy Robinson, a figure known for his controversial stances, was a step too far for many. Critics from within and outside the party raised their eyebrows, questioning Farage's judgment. Some, especially those in the opposition, saw it as a betrayal of the very principles that had once endeared him to the public. For them, this move didn't just raise concerns about the moral compass of the Reform Party, it also highlighted a deeper issue about the leadership style of Farage himself. What's Farage playing at? You don't just let someone like Robinson waltz into the party and think it won't cause a stir, remarked one well-placed Labour MP during a heated debate in the House of Commons. This isn't about politics anymore, this is about leadership, or rather the lack of it. Indeed, leadership is what's at the heart of this issue. Farage, a seasoned political figure, has had his fair share of successes, most notably with his role in Brexit. But leadership in times of controversy requires more than just vision, it demands firmness, clarity, and an ability to navigate through choppy waters without losing sight of your principles. Unfortunately, in this instance, Farage's leadership appears to have faltered. He allowed the situation to escalate rather than addressing it swiftly and decisively. As a result, the party became embroiled in a narrative that shifted focus away from policy and onto personality politics. The media, especially those on the left, had a field day with this, portraying Farage as weak, indecisive, and easily influenced by the louder, more provocative voices in British politics. In a classic display of his own brand of criticism, Piers Morgan took to his evening show to question Farage's decisions. "It's like watching a slow-motion car crash," Morgan said, his voice laced with his usual sarcasm. This is a man who once prided himself on knowing which battles to fight and which to avoid. But here, he's clearly lost his way. It's not just Morgan, though. Other political commentators, particularly those from the liberal side of the spectrum, have voiced their concerns. One such journalist, John, from The Guardian, expressed his thoughts in a recent interview. Farage, in his attempt to appear more populist, has played a dangerous game. He's trying to appeal to the far-right elements of the political spectrum, but that's a slippery slope. At what cost is he willing to go in order to maintain power? This is where Elon Musk enters the equation. Whether you like him or not, Musk has become a figure who knows how to play the political game with a unique flair. From his perch in California, far removed from the intricacies of British politics, Musk has found a way to influence political discourse in ways few can replicate. His support for Farage, while somewhat unexpected, shows that even from across the pond, Musk can make waves in the British political scene. His social media endorsements, though often cryptic, have proven to be powerful in galvanizing certain factions of the electorate. Musk, with his typically unfiltered Twitter posts, often shifts the narrative in ways that catch his opponents off guard. When Farage's reputation was on the line, it was Musk who stepped in to offer his backing. In a tweet, Musk wrote, "Farage knows how to navigate these turbulent political waters. Ignore the noise and keep your eyes on the prize." That simple message, despite its brevity, resonated with Farage's supporters, reinforcing the notion that Farage, much like Musk, is someone who plays the long game, and perhaps, this controversy could blow over. However, the question remains, will Farage be able to recover the ground he's lost? The public's perception of his leadership has been severely dented. While some may argue that controversy is part and parcel of politics, this particular controversy feels different. Farage, for all his political acumen, seems to have underestimated the backlash that would follow such a decision. And now, he's left scrambling to regain control of the narrative. On the other hand, there's the possibility that this situation could be a defining moment for Farage. Political leaders are often shaped by their moments of crisis, and it's in these moments that their true character shines through. Will Farage rise to the occasion, stand firm, and prove that his leadership is still worth following? Or will this be the moment when his once powerful political brand begins to wither? It's hard to predict. Farage has been through political battles before, and he has come out on top. But this time, the stakes are higher. The reform movement, the party he's built, is now at a crossroads. It's no longer just about his personal vision, it's about the future of the entire political faction he's trying to lead. Can he steer the ship back on course, or will the party be left rudderless, drifting in the stormy seas of British politics? As we look ahead, it's clear that Farage's ability to weather this storm will depend on his ability to lead with strength and integrity. He will need to take a hard look at his leadership style and make the necessary adjustments. The question is whether he has the self-awareness and the resolve to do so. Musk, for his part, has shown that even from afar, he knows how to influence the conversation. But Farage's political fate lies in his own hands. Will he regain the public's trust, or is this the end of his reign at the helm of the Reform Party? Only time will tell, a political pundit remarked during a live debate, leaning forward in his chair. But one thing's for certain, Farage can't afford to let this fester. He's at a crossroads, and he needs to decide where he's going. The clock is ticking. As the debate continues, Farage's next steps will undoubtedly be watched with bated breath. The political landscape in the UK is as volatile as ever, and in these uncertain times, leaders must tread carefully. Farage's ability to navigate this crisis will define not just his legacy but the future of the Reform Party as well. So, what's next? Will Farage recover from this political misstep, or will the controversy surrounding Robinson signal the beginning of the end for his leadership? It's a question that remains unanswered, but one that will shape the future of British politics for years to come. Thanks for joining us today, folks. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up with all the twists and turns in this political saga. See you soon.